How you doing, guys? Massive Beer Reviews back with a re-review. It's been a while since I've done this one. I'm kind of excited to do it, and that is Firestone Walker Sucaba, 2015 vintage. Yeah, it's actually Sucaba was one of the first beers I ever reviewed on my channel. It was a 2014 vintage, and I did it. I believe it was 2014, and or the year I did it. I know the bottle itself was 2014, and it was the eighth beer review that I ever did, and I've had it a bunch of times since. Just didn't ever come back to it, even though it's one of my favorite barley wines of all time. But this is part of my fantasy football haul from one of my beer league for fantasy football. So it is. We're in the middle of a storm right now. It's snowing outside. It just kind of is barley wine time for me, and this has been sitting for a couple months in my fridge, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm diving in. Here we go. Sweet box that it comes in. I'm not going to read all this stuff in the back. If you want to know what that says, go find my original review and then top this off. How about that? It's in a box, yet it still has dust. That's how you know it's good. It's 2000 vintage Sucaba. This is a, what's the ABV on this? 13.3% alcohol by volume. And that's it. Classic Sucaba label. Yeah. Classic Firestone Walker pull top, and then we'll see how this sucker fared. Nice hiss on that one. I like that. We're off to a good start. Yeah, you're talking about coconut for days, tons of vanilla on this. I mean, the age has hopefully treated it really, really well. Let's see. Let's see if we can get a little bit more information on this. Yeah, they don't tell you what kind of barrels it goes in. It just says barrel-aged barley wine ale. It's a British ale yeast IBU cases, 3,500 cases. We're gonna assume it's a bourbon. We'll find out. But I mean, that's a killer label. That's a classic Firestone Walker to a T, which always come off as like a Scotch label to me. So I've always kind of dug that, being the Scotch lover that I am. So what do we have here beer wise? There was a little bit of head. Dissipated pretty quickly, and then you just has that rich kind of toffee looking, just from body to head looking color. Eighth of a pinky finger agitated head. Has actually a soft creaminess to it, to be perfectly honest with you, even though I kind of just riled it up. And it's got a soft brown doo-doo watercolor, I like to say, with a little bit of haze going on. So she definitely has the barley wine vibes on lock. Let's get a nose. Yeah, she has that kind of she has a rich caramel to it. She's edging towards that kind of aged raisinettiness, but she's not quite there yet. Soft vanilla to it. A little bit of like rich, it's like a rich, fatty, like almost like rum-like kind of vibe to it. I'm leaning bourbon barrel on this, but I'm getting like a soft rum component from it. That could be a couple different things, but I think it's just a matter of a little bit of age, maybe a touch of oxidation, and that kind of barrel doing its thing. It's just giving me a little bit of, like, when I say fatty, I mean like a rich, decadent, fatty kind of dessert. Something that's not ice cream and cold and hard. Something that's a little bit rich, a little bit more gelatinous kind of dessert kind of vibe to it. But yeah, she smells sweet. Not quite to that beautiful raisinettiness that I love so much, but you can get whiffs of it in there. A soft evaporative alcohol heat to it, but it doesn't smell hot. You just tell there's alcohol kind of fuming off of it. Yeah, she smells like a classic. She smells like a classic well-done barrel-aged barley wine. Guess what? This is a classic well-done barrel-aged barley wine. One of my favorite, but it's been a while, so I'm kind of excited to dive in. Cheers. That's nice. Ton of vanilla. Nice big rich vanilla to it. Oh man, super sticky. Vanilla with a touch of caramel. You're getting like it's not burnt brown sugar, but it's not sugar daddy. Maybe it's more sugar daddy actually. I was gonna go sugar daddy burnt brown sugar daddy raisinette. That's kind of like the timeline of barley wine for me when it comes to kind of how those kind of rich, kind of sweetened flavors kind of mature over time. This is Sugar Daddy if it was kind of spiced up. There's something spicy in there. Like you made a Sugar Daddy with like a blackstrap molasses instead of just all the sugary confectionery kind of components. So there's a bit of spiciness to it. I assume that's coming from the barrel. So I'm assuming bourbon. I'm pretty sure it's bourbon, but it coming off like a little bit spicier, like it was like a rye whiskey barrel. I don't think they do blends on this. Yeah. Rich, silky, creamy mouthfeel, not super dense, but creamy in the way that you want it to be. It's not super dense, not super thick. There's a little bit of heat to it, but in a positive way, to where you know you're drinking a pushing 14% beer. You want it to have a little bit of heat to it because you want to know what you're drinking, but it's not hot, if that makes any sense. The way those kind of elevated sweetness and dark, rich kind of caramel, brown sugar flavors, like I said, edge toward that kind of blackstrap molasses Sugar Daddy vibe. Just about a year or so short of being kind of a raisinette thing. And then the spirit, it's there. It doesn't come too far in one either direction, like saying it's screaming just huge booziness, but it's definitely propping up the beer and accenting it. And like I said, pretty much at the get, it has this soft wash of this really rich kind of non-overly sweet kind of vanilla to it. It's definitely a vanilla from a barrel because you just don't get that cloying sweetness that vanilla tends to bring with it, but it's definitely there. I remember there being a decent amount of coconut on this, I think fresh. That's kind of washed off, but what is left behind is something that's really sultry, really sexy, really pretty. Maybe 2-3 years longer, it would turn into something absolutely fucking bonkers, but this is pretty damn good stuff. I'm not pissed I opened this, but at the same time, in about 2 or 3 years, I'm gonna go, fuck man, I wish I had that 2015 bottle. Listen, my MO, or my mantra, I should say, when it comes to aging beers is core 4, done. You know, water, malt, yeast, hops, done. Those are the things you should age. More specifically, stuff that is bottle conditioned more often than not. When you start to add components to it, even just a barrel, it's just kind of too many moving parts and beers can go sideways. They can thin out, they can become way less of what their original self is. This is aging quite nice. So this one does have some legs to it, as do a lot of the kind of old school 500 milliliter Firestone Walker bottles. But I wouldn't say this is like, I want to wait 10 years for this, but maybe instead of, being 2019 now, I think this comes out in the beginning of the year too. So let's say, just for the sake of conversation, this is 3.5 years old. I would like to see this at 5.5. I think it would be maxing out there, but it's damn tasty stuff. Really delicious and probably just as good as when I originally reviewed the 2014 version. Yeah. Man, this is good. This is how I like my barley wines to be. There's better ones. Let's cut to that, Jason. One of the better barley wines, barrel aged or other, that I have as of late. As of late, it's probably up there, if not close to the top. But of all time, it's on my all-time list, but it's not number one. There's some that take the cake for me. Your J.W. Lee's, your Thomas Hardy's, even like a very old stock might elevate above this. But it's definitely, it's if it's not on a Mount Rushmore, it's definitely on deck. Value and availability, that's a weird one for this. Aged beer, obviously, that's going to kind of, be a hard thing to track down. I've seen these bottles go for $17. I've seen them go for $30, brand new. Nowadays, you find them probably more like $10, $11, but they're 12-ounce bottles as opposed to 500 milliliter. Burps, which kind of bums me out in a weird way, because I'm opening this because I want to sit and watch the snow and watch TV and relax and drink this whole thing to my head. That is what's happening with this beer tonight. But I appreciate the smaller format, but I feel like you just kind of lose a couple, you're paying more premium per ounce in that format. So take that for what it's worth and leave you with, if you like what we like this beer. If you like barley wine, you like aged beer, you like old beer, you like well done beer, and you like beer. Because this is beer. To me, this is like, if someone has me describe what beer is, I'm going to go 2 different directions. I'm either going to go classic English style barley wine or old ale, or I'm going to go like lager, American lager, or German lager, or Czech Pilsner, something of that end. Either ends of the spectrum. So this is kind of what beer is for me. So if you like beer, in my definition, you'll like this. There you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you are enjoying something as delicious as this. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, down there. Massive beers. check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive. If you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a nice little Sucaba right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.